today, companies can adopt numerous strategies to implement the circular economy. One of the main drivers recognized by companies is the support from policymakers in the form of incentives. With these incentives, the adoption of circular economy strategies becomes more effective. In this regard, it is argued that any strategy of circular economy requires specific circular economy capabilities, which are possessed at the level of economic industries. To support the development of circular economy, policymakers should support those industries having the circular economy strategies unequivocally identified as their core activities. However, the budget to finance circular economy strategies at the country level is limited, and policymakers must determine which sectors to fund and which not to. Here, one question pops up. Which circular economy strategies are more suited to be supported in order to favor the implementation of circular economy at the country level? To answer this question, it is possible to use a proximity measure developed within the framework of economic complexity. The first principle on which this measure is based is that in every country, not all industries are equivalent in terms of economic performance. There are some industries in which the country is competitive in international markets, and others in which the country is not competitive. How can we identify which sectors the country is competitive in? We can discover this through an indicator, the Reveld comparative advantage. This indicator is computed for a specific industry in a given country. Specifically, the Reveld comparative advantage of industry I in country C can be calculated as the ratio of two terms. The numerator stands for the weight of industry I in country C on domestic production, in terms of the economic value of production. The denominator stands for the weight of industry I on global production. A Reveld comparative advantage higher than 1 means that industry I in country C is performing better than the average performance of industry I globally. This implies that the country is competitive in this industry. For example, according to 2021 data, the industry reprocessing of secondary paper into new pulp in Italy has a Reveld comparative advantage equal to 9.4. This means that this Italian industry is performing 9.4 times better than the global average and is therefore competitive internationally. The same industry in Portugal has a Reveld comparative advantage of 0.75. This Portuguese industry is not competitive. To improve a country's competitiveness, policymakers must incentivize industries that are not currently competitive, specifically those industries whose Reveld comparative advantage is lower than 1. This might look strange, but think about if policymakers were to incentivize the development of an industry that is already competitive, the policy measure would be ineffective. Since it is not possible to incentivize all industries, policymakers must identify those sectors that, while not competitive today, have the greatest potential for development. To do this, the concept of proximity between sectors comes to our aid. The proximity is a statistical measure of similarity between industries, which formalizes the idea that similar industries, for instance, manufacture of electronic products and manufacture of precision instruments, are more likely to be developed in tandem than dissimilar industries, for instance, manufacture of electronic products and agriculture. Therefore, if a country is competitive in a given industry, it is very likely that it is also competitive in other industries that are very close to this one. The proximity between two generic industries, I and J, indicated by the letter phi, is measured as the minimum of the pairwise conditional probabilities that a country is competitive in industry I, given that it is competitive in industry J as well. This probability is measured using the equation shown on the screen, where MCI equals 1 if the revealed comparative advantage of industry I in country C is greater than 1, and 0 otherwise. The proximity index ranges between 0 and 1. The higher this index, the higher the similarity between the two industries. For example, consider the industry manufacture of bricks, tiles, and construction products. This industry has a high proximity with the industry reprocessing of ash into clinker equal to 0.75, indicating that the two industries possess similar capabilities. In contrast, its proximity with the industry manure treatment is 0.08, indicating that the capabilities required by these two industries are different. Having said this, we can return to the initial question. Which circular economy strategies are more suited to be supported in order to favor the implementation of circular economy at the country level? We can assert that policymakers should support those industries not focused on circular economy, but that have high proximity to at least one circular economy with industry with a revealed comparative advantage greater than 1. In this way, we can argue that the non-circular economy sector possesses the same capabilities as the circular economy sector. Thanks to the provided incentive, the non-circular economy sector will be able to develop circular economy strategies internally. For example, the manufacture of motor vehicles, trailers, and semi-trailers industry manifests elevated proximity values with two circular economy industries, that is, reprocessing of secondary steel into new steel, whose proximity is 0.67, and reprocessing of secondary lead into new lead, whose proximity is 0.61. Both these industries are associated with the circular economy strategy Recycle. Thus, based on our argumentation, the Recycle strategy can be an effective strategy to be implemented in this industry, and the incentives provided by policymakers to businesses can be effective. To recap, we can use the proximity measure to identify those industries in a country where the development of circular economy strategies is more likely to be effective, and that policymakers should incentivize to promote the development of the circular economy.